Afternoon, my friends. Dean caught me off guard there for the introduction, but I'm always ready. So here I am. But welcome back to The Price to Sell. I'm your host, Matthew Campoli. And today we brought on a little bit of a superstar. You know,
wow.
Just dresses super well, kills the luxury market. Probably some of the best hair in the game I've seen.
Don't tell Brett that.
I won't. Brett, don't listen to this episode. But we have Mr. Dorian Rodrigues here in the building. Thank you for coming, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to it. What you guys are doing here is incredible.
Thanks, man. We try.
You do a good job.
Thanks. We really do try. So, my friend, let's get into tell the audience about who you are, who Dorian is. I'm sure they've seen you. You know, you have very good social presence.
Thank you.
You just have your vibe. You just have Dorian vibe.
It's just a Dorian vibe.
It's not like it cannot be replicated, in my opinion.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Listen, I've been in the industry for close to 7 years now. Mm-hmm. I love it.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoy this business. Obviously, I like selling expensive things, expensive real estate. I like doing expensive things. So I think it was very fitting for me. And I just really enjoy it, honestly.
Yeah. And it's funny because Dorian and I went to the same high school.
Yeah, St. Joan of Arc.
St. Joan of Arc, shout out, Maple boys. And he's 3 years younger than me. I did not know him at the time. But it's funny because now we've come full circle.
Yeah.
And here we are, you know, both doing well in the business, networking, vibing off each other's momentum.
It's nice to see, honestly. It's funny, you look back and then you start to see everyone you went to school with, whether they're older or younger, and seeing them doing whatever they do and they're doing it well. It's nice. It's good to see that, you know, we went to the same area and now we're in the same career, and it's cool.
So let's talk about a little bit about Dorian's journey into real estate, because you started at 20.
Yes.
Let's talk about that and why.
Honestly, I was in university. Mm-hmm. I was at York's getting my business commerce degree. Mm-hmm. And, you know, halfway through, one of my old personal trainers, his wife was a broker of record at her own real estate office. He turned to me and said, you know, everyone seems to like you. You can pretty much talk to a wall. Why don't you get into real estate?
You talk to walls too?
Oh, every day.
Me too, man.
Yeah, it's my forte.
Yeah, I fucking love walls.
So he said, you know, you should look into it. Mm-hmm. You know, obviously I started to do some more research, and I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. So at the same time I was in university, I was also, you know, going to real estate school. And then once I finished university, I said, you know what? Let's just dive in. Let's take a chance. At that point, I'm 20 years old. Yeah. Let's be real here. I didn't have a lot of expenses. Didn't have a lot to worry about. So I figured, you know, if I fail, I fail, but I'll do everything I can not to. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, six, almost 7 years later, I'm sitting on your couch talking to you.
And selling $10 million properties on the regular.
Thank you. I try.
Some big achievements, man.
Thank you.
Especially you're 26 now. It's still young as shit. Like I started when I was essentially 25.
Wow.
You know? So it's like crazy what can happen in 5 years.
Life moves very, very quick. Mm-hmm. I think in our industry, we're so caught up in the moment that, you know, when you actually stop, which is crazy for us because I don't think we stop. Our ADD is horrible. Yeah. You look back and you're like, wow, it's been 5, 6, 7 years. You know, I used to sell, you know, a lot of $500,000 condos. Now I'm fortunate enough to be selling and grateful to be selling $10 million houses. It's just crazy. Yes. So it's a crazy world we're in. But it's good to once in a while to stop, reflect, and be grateful for what we do have.
Definitely, yeah. It's something I always like to be conscious of, is like to look back where I was 5 years ago, mm-hmm. and look at the difference, how much change has happened in my life, our lives, mm-hmm. and now imagine the next 5 years, right?
Honestly, I'm sure you're very similar. We set goals.
Yes.
Yearly goals, 5-year goals. But it's crazy, you know, every year that goes by, either you surpass your goals or you're trying to double or triple your goals. And it's interesting, you know, I look, for now, my next milestone in my brain is 30. Like, where do I want to be at 30? Not just in business, but also in my personal life. Mm-hmm. And it's funny how my actions are starting to reflect my goals when I'm 30, not my goals when I'm 27, 28.
Yes,
so
you gotta plant those seeds now.
100%. Mm-hmm. I've always been of the mindset, where you are now is great, but act and carry yourself where you want to be.
For sure.
And I feel like that's extremely valuable. I know me looking at 30 years old, I'm sure my life is going to be drastically different.
Yep.
Hopefully for the positive. But we're always just trying to grow and get better and get bigger, really.
Yeah. So you're currently building for Dorian 3.0.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I just hit Matt 3.0.
Wow.
I'm a different beast.
Gotta tell you, look great for
Thanks,
a big 3-0.
Thank you. A lot of broccoli.
Okay.
Yeah.
The muscles are popping through the shirt.
That's the broccoli.
Amazing.
Right. And those Popeye sticks. Those do a good job too. But let's talk about, for all the young people out there who are like discouraged as shit. And it's like, I'm 20. How the hell do I sell homes? Or how can I get people to trust me? Like, what was your grind like?
I mean, my grind's still very similar now,
Yeah.
just different.
I think I remember seeing videos of you just like pounding doors.
I used to hit a door knock.
Yeah.
I wasn't much of a cold caller, but I wasn't afraid to pick up the phone.
Yeah.
I really just believe in the simple method of work hard, show up, and be knowledgeable. So when you're younger in the industry, of course it's difficult. No one knows who you are. Your friends still think about you as a high school student or university friend. You have to break that mold. But truthfully, be knowledgeable in the market that you're servicing. And I don't want to say fake it till you make it, but essentially, like, if someone asks you a real estate question, act like you've been there before.
Yeah.
And just be consistent and do that day in, day out. And
Yeah.
eventually, and I'm sure things just start to roll. And once they get rolling, then it only gets bigger and bigger and better.
Yes. Different doors open up, different opportunities, paths that you never thought you'd be on, you start to take on.
That I can 100% attest to.
Right? That's like me in this podcast.
It's actually,
No idea.
it's blown up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's not like this was like in my 5-year goal, So
Everything
but
works
now
out
it's
for a
definitely in
reason.
the next 5-year goal.
Is it?
Yeah. Definitely. But yeah, man, super inspiring to see what you've done.
Thank you.
At such a young age.
Still have so much to go.
Yeah.
I know everyone says that, but truthfully, like, I'm not even close to where I want to be. One of someone I admire, and we have a common interest in Ryan Serhant.
Yeah.
He mentions a lot about being afraid of wasted potential. And truthfully, that's how I really, really feel about myself. And I'm not saying I'm Ryan Serhant. I'm not saying I'm anywhere close to him. But in my mind, I've always been of the belief of, you have so much to offer. Don't ever get caught up in what you're currently in.
Yeah.
Try to exceed expectations. Try to get bigger. Try to get better. And that's currently my mindset. And I'm sure you're very, very similar. You just told me you're starting a team. Like, that's something admirable that I'm sure when you start in real estate, you were like, no, let me just focus on myself for now.
Yeah. And it just clicks.
Yeah.
But I feel like you have really good belief systems.
Thank you.
With how you want your life to look. And you believe that it's going to be that way already.
You have to.
Right? And that is the key, though.
Yeah,
because some people get discouraged, or there's resistance to those thoughts, so they're not able to like manifest it.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of big goals.
That's a trick, though.
That is really it. Like, I'm not afraid to say, when I was 24 years old, I'm not afraid to say, I want to hit 1 million GCI.
Yeah.
Like, that's not something I'm afraid of. Like, I look at that, I'm like, okay, why not?
Yeah.
There's so much real estate in this world. There's so many good colleagues that we have. There's collaboration. Like, there's ways you can do it.
Yeah.
But I'm never afraid of it, right? And, in this industry where there's so many agents, you would think it'd be super hyper competitive, but it's not. I think when you're willing to share, like yourself, willing to collaborate, I guess good karma
Definitely
really starts to come to you. And that's the best way to look at not just real estate, but also life.
Yeah.
You do well for people, you treat people well,
Yeah.
it just continues forward.
Exactly. And it's a very collaborative business that we're in. 100%. A lot of people think it's dog eat dog, super competitive, cutthroat. But for me, the more relationships I have with other realtors, the better my business goes, and the better my clients, their experience, right?
100%.
So I think that's definitely huge. But I remember a funny story. When I first started my first year, I had a whiteboard in my small office.
Yeah.
I put 100K on there.
Amazing.
Still scary for me.
Of course.
That number.
Of course.
This other guy, someone who really introduced me to law of attraction, this other agent, George, in my office, he came in, he's like, add a 0. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, add a 0. Like, you want my goal to be 1 million? It's my first year. He's like, doesn't matter, add a 0. He's like, see, you're scared of the goal. So you got to trick your mind now to believe that you can achieve that.
I agree.
And once you do, and that extra 0 becomes comfortable, it's just a matter of time before you actually hit that. Then you add another 0.
It's funny you say that. So I'm one of those guys, that puts myself in very uncomfortable situations.
Yeah.
So when I first bought my place, I was 22 or 23 years old. Uncomfortable. I looked at monthly payments. I'm like, this is going to be, we're along for the ride. This is going to be bumpy. But, you know, a month or two after I bought it, I forgot about it.
Yes.
It wasn't even a thought in my brain. You know, I went out, got a nice car.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh God, I'm spending this much money on a car. This is insane.
Yeah.
But guess what? Don't think about it.
Yeah.
So I always put myself in situations where it's like, you know, maybe you're a little bit uncomfortable, but you work so much harder to make sure that's met and more. So like Brad always said that to me. So Brad was someone I get a lot of advice from. And he even said, he's like, listen, you put yourself in those uncomfortable situations, but I guarantee you meet those expectations and then surpass them, because your mindset is not thinking about where you currently are. It's where you want to be.
Yeah.
So I'm along those beliefs as well.
Yeah. And a lot of people, it's just it's money mindset.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
And once you can adopt a good money mindset where you're not like scared of, oh, I got these taxes to pay, I got this. It's like you can just switch and create some appreciation towards everything around money and just naturally attract it more.
I agree.
And I think it was actually in Ryan Serhant's book I read where he's like, put yourself in that, it's like a good debt. Like go get that expensive ass car, because it's subconsciously going to light a fire under your ass to do better, meet it, and then surpass it. That's literally what I did too.
It really works.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's in this industry. I of course I have goals I want to hit financially, but my big goals have never really been financial goals. My goals have always been I want to sell this $4 million house. Now I want to hit the next price point of 5.
Yeah.
Now I want to hit 6,
Yeah.
right? It's always been size of the property has been my goal.
Yeah.
Because when you start to get to those levels, you just want to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then you attract the more expensive homes. So that's always been a goal. Like I call it my portfolio.
Yeah.
So if I sell a house, in my mind, it's in my portfolio. And I like to build that portfolio, get nicer properties, cool properties, whether it's a trendy loft in King West or a beautiful mansion in Forest Hill. I want them part of my portfolio.
Yes.
And that's how I like to build my business.
That's cool, man. It's a great niche, which we're going to get into right now.
Yes.
Luxury.
Love it.
Love it. So again, super young dude in a space that probably scares the shit out of many agents to even try to get into, right? So let's talk about your journey into luxury.
You know what? I was very fortunate. I was in the office and I met my business partner, Jordan. He is just an amazing realtor. He's been killing luxury for the last 20 years. So, you know, my very first big boy listing, so to speak, was 14 Rolliat. I'll never forget it, Dundas and Ossington. I'm like, wow, I'm selling luxury now. We're listed at $299. I was so excited, right? So he gave me that opportunity and we worked it. And, you know, we ended up selling it for $2,925. I'll never forget that sale because that was the first ever property that I'm like, this is cool. I love luxury real estate. But he allowed me to kind of enter that market. And, you know, through that, and as well as, you know, starting to build up my own plan, like, you know, hanging out in areas where these wealthy buyers and wealthy sellers are, just in networking, it started to slowly snowball where I became that agent that, you know, if you ask for a house in Forest Hill, I'll tell you houses, whether they've just recently sold, who lives at which house, what's off market. Like I'm like a Rolodex and database of Forest Hill and all of those exclusive areas. And I feel like that's what's really started to progress the business up and getting more and more business, because people in those neighborhoods want to know, like, what have you sold there? Who do you know? And what do you have for me that no one else does? And I feel like this is something that I've started to really focus in on. And I only started to realize it once you're in the moment.
Yes.
And everyone thinks it's so daunting, but it's not. They're individuals like us. They just happen to be fortunate to have, you know, a lot of money that they put towards a house.
Yes. So let's talk about that process. So you're constantly networking in these areas. In person, you pop in by coffee shops. Like, how does that look?
So for me, whining and dining is a big thing for me. So when I go out to eat, I'm intentional. If you'll notice one thing is I'm very intentional with my business. So, you know, what I put on social media is very selected and like I said, intentional. So I go to Morton's, for example, all the time. And, you know, I take a picture of Morton's on my Instagram. So I'm starting to be seen there. Now when I go in there, the GM knows me extremely well. So when I bring in clients, it's like, oh, this guy frequents here a lot.
Yes.
So I start going to all of these places like One, Morton's, Sophia. And these are all places where people start to see me, recognize me, and then they know me. And they ask me questions about real estate. And this is where the be knowledgeable part comes in. I'm able to answer their questions honestly and accurately.
Yeah.
But the best thing I've ever done, I joined Equinox in Yorkville.
Cool. Yep.
And that became such a good way to get business because, you know, I'm not a salesy human being. I mean, when I'm doing a showing, that's where I like to be sell, right? That's my job.
Yeah.
But when I'm not, I don't talk real estate unless you ask me.
Yeah.
And then, you know, slowly, once you see someone all the time, you just organically will be like, hey, like, what do you do? And then I say real estate. They're like, oh, real estate? Like, what do you think my place is worth?
Yeah.
And then slowly it just becomes a snowball effect.
That's the power. That is the power, though. That's a power to have, is to not bring it up. Everyone thinks like, okay, let everyone know I'm in the business, which you should do. But when you're too much, like we spoke about earlier, people see right through you, and it's just like a turnoff. It's just human psychology. I'm the exact same way, man. I get a ton of my business in the gym, and I will never just start a conversation and be like, by the way, I'm in real estate. People always ask me after getting to know me.
Of course.
We get to know each other. We shoot the shit as regular civilians first. And then they're like, by the way, like, what do you do exactly? I do real estate, right? And then 5 conversations later, it's like, hey, man, my mom wants to figure out the value of her house. You know, stuff like that.
That's the best way to do it. I mean, it doesn't look like I go to the gym, but I casually pop in there once in a while. And I find that place is such a good place to meet people. And like you just said, as long as you're being you and you're being, you know, organically yourself, it's just people will just gravitate towards you.
Definitely.
And I feel like, you know, you're probably comfortable in the gym. Your guns are ripping through the shirt. Like, you know, you seem like it's a natural for you. For me, like, yeah, people know I just kind of go there, hop on the treadmill and just do nothing. But I'm there. I'm happy and I'm talkative. So I guess it's one of those things where as long as you're comfortable in that space, people will just naturally gravitate towards you.
Definitely. And I picked up boxing now too.
Oh, nice.
So people know that I'll kill a bidding war.
I love that.
Right?
Okay. So don't go against me in a bidding war. You got it.
So it's like, have you seen Matt hit the bag? You know, that's the guy I want.
You're intimidating.
On my side, you know, during a bidding war. You know what I mean?
I love that.
So just trying to become an overall weapon in life.
You are. Don't worry.
But let's talk about the process. So like luxury, every single showing, I imagine you're there, you're present, right?
Every showing from, let's call it 2 to 2.5 million and up, I'm present.
And how is that process? Like, what do you bring to the table to really help out the buyer's agent or to really like service your client? Like, obviously knowledge.
Yeah, well, of course.
Every single, and when it comes to luxury, like every single finish matters, right? Because that is value.
Yes,
in the house, right?
Course.
So,
I mean, the values. So I look at this exactly what you just said. There's 2 different ways. For the seller, it's value because I know the home inside and out. Like I take the time, you know, a couple of weeks before we go to market to really understand the home, understand why they did certain things. For example, you know, one of my listings on Ardwald, we have, you know, they have a kitchen table that looks like a second island. So I asked the seller, I'm like, hey, like, why'd you do it this way and not have, you know, just a regular kitchen table? And she said, you know what, because our stone is so beautiful, it looks like a second prep area, but also it's functional if you have kids and if you have like, you know, family over and it's just an informal dinner, it's easy to sit here. Right? It's just understanding the seller and being in the seller's mind.
For sure.
And being able to paint a picture of the property and how the potential buyers can live in this property.
So telling a story.
Exactly.
Okay.
And for the buyers, a lot of these buyers and their agents as well, they understand what they're buying just because they're at a certain price point. But truthfully, you really have to explain what they are achieving. So for example, you know, in this listing, a lot of people don't know Ardwald is arguably one of the most exclusive streets in Toronto. So that's my job, is to educate them as well as educate them on value. So when I'm bringing them through the house, I'm making sure to point out things that they typically don't see at this price point. And I also make reference, you know, if you were to take this house, move it 4 houses into the street or, you know, move it north into Forest Hill, these are the values. So they start to understand not just the property, but also what's around it.
Yes.
And when you're able to talk educated and confidently on a product, especially what's sold in the area, there's a little bit more trust.
For sure.
And you're not selling, you're just educating.
Definitely. And do you find like obviously average days on market longer in luxury?
So
higher price point?
It's really weird.
Or just kind of like all over the map?
It's all over the map, but I got to tell you, listings about 7 million and up, flying.
Really?
Under 20 days.
Interesting.
I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
But the market is crazy.
Okay.
So I would say if you're a seller or a buyer, now's probably a good time to get into the luxury space. If you're looking to upgrade or even, downsize, things are moving quickly. I actually find it's a little slower at, between $1 million and $2 million, which is really interesting.
Yeah. We both had a struggle with Maple Townhouse recently.
Oh yeah. That was no bueno.
That was a weird time.
It's just so conflicting, right?
Yeah.
Like, one day the place is worth 125, and then next day 1.1 doesn't even get you an offer.
Yeah, right.
So I feel for the sellers because it's hard to see your neighbor just sold for 125,
Yeah.
and then you can't get 1.1.
Yep.
Has nothing to do with the house. It has honestly nothing to do with the agent as well.
Yep.
Unfortunately,
Just that shift.
it's the shift in the timing.
Yes. And but the key is agents out there. Talk to other agents. See what's going on, and then you tell your client. Like,
and that's what Matt did. So I'll give credit to you.
Yeah.
You saw I had a listing in Maple. You're like, hey, how's the activity? What is your feedback? And then I told you, and then you sold it fairly quick thereafter. Like, it's smart. Like, a lot of agents are afraid to ask other agents for help or advice or, ask questions. This is what we're all in the industry for. We want to help each other.
Yeah.
If you make money, eventually I'll make money. We all make money. It's
Exactly.
There's just so much to go around.
so much to eat.
Yeah, like what's the point being selfish?
Yeah.
Just share.
Food
Share
is
as much
great.
as possible. I love food, but like
Food's awesome.
you could share because it's worth it. It'll all come back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love it, man. Super important. I do want to talk about. So let's get into like a fun luxury story.
Yes.
I'm sure you had some interesting buyers come through, or some clients. What would be like your just a funny luxury story or experience?
You know what? Funny enough, like I don't even know if it's a funny story. Like I wouldn't even say it's a story. I would just say like, in this space, you run into the same buyers all the time. So, I've over the last couple of weeks, we were fortunate enough to have, 3 or 4 luxury homes in Forest Hill right now. And this one couple, once, twice came into with their agent, came into our listings while I showed it to them. More recently, they came in and they turned to me. They're like, "You again?" I'm like, "Are you starting to get sick of me already?" And they start laughing, but it drops all of the walls.
For sure.
Right? There's such a good comfort level.
Yeah.
But honestly, everyone, surprisingly enough, you would think they're super, like stiff, those luxury buyers, and they're like serious. They joke around more than anyone else.
Yeah.
Like they come in there, they enjoy it, they understand they're taking time out of their day, so why not make the most of it?
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yes. See, I've yet to tap into luxury.
Is that by choice?
You know what? Yeah, I just don't know if that is my thing. But like, will I get into it? I'm sure I will at some point. Maybe I fall in love with it. Maybe I start targeting that too. Right? But I feel like the charisma you have and like your personality
Thank you.
is like perfect for that kind of thing, because it's good to lighten up situations.
You have to.
Yeah.
You just have to.
Yeah.
I make it's funny when the buyers in this at this price point, even sellers, they're so used to that like white glove service, professional, prim and proper. And of course, I always dress well. I'm always professional, but they're also, they want to have fun.
Yeah.
They don't always want to be serious, because the rest of their life, I guarantee, is as serious as it can be.
Yeah.
But when they're dealing with us, where we're helping essentially move their biggest asset, just have fun with it.
Yeah.
Right. And they actually respect it. And to be honest with you, you'd be surprised how many clients actually make jokes now. And when they're texting, they're really putting themselves out there and like dropping all of their walls.
Yeah.
And that's what becomes fun. When you start seeing those type of clients drop their walls,
Yeah.
it's so rewarding.
Yeah.
It's fun.
It's like you're in the friend zone now,
I'm in the friend zone.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're gonna stay there
We're going to stay there for a while. Until we go golf together, and then I get competitive. And,
Yeah.
who knows what happens after that.
Then that's up to you, buddy. But super funny, man. Let's get into, I want to talk about mindset a bit. We did discuss a little bit earlier, which is amazing. And I know a lot of people like to get pumped up from this podcast.
Yeah.
And mindset's huge. Setting goals, like you said. You said you're a big believer in coaching.
Oh, yes.
Right? So like these are all key tools I think agents should adopt out there in order to perform at a high level.
Agreed.
Right?
Agreed.
So what would be like your main must-haves in the business, or you must kind of take on this?
So I actually look at this business, and this sounds so funny because I used to play hockey. So I relate it back to hockey.
Yeah.
I look at what I do and what you do as we're in the NHL of our business, right? I believe in trainers. I've had a coach for probably 5 years now, a business coach. they're just, it's like LeBron James. He has a shooting coach. He probably has a personal trainer. Why? Because you're always trying to get better.
Yeah.
And my business coach is wonderful. He's able to, get my mind thinking about something that I wouldn't typically think about. So I find that very valuable. I find, I guess more on the tool side, a CRM being extremely valuable. I'm meticulous for that. But I would say the biggest hack that a lot of realtors, especially newer ones, that, they're fresh to the business, so they always feel like they have to be on call, so to speak. Scheduling. I live by my calendar, and I'm sure you're very similar. If it's not in my calendar, I'm not doing it.
Yeah,
right?
Agreed.
So it's just being so scheduled where, 9 to 10 o'clock, that's my follow-up time.
Yes.
These are my showings. I'm not doing anything else in between them.
So really into time management.
You have to be.
Yes.
You have to be, because you always, I have a rule. I'm never late.
Yeah.
I'm 10 to 15 minutes early, no matter what appointment it is.
Yeah.
Because people's time, you have to respect it.
Yep.
If you don't respect it, you don't respect them, which means you won't respect the properties.
Yes.
And that's such a bad look.
Agreed.
So if you're able to really schedule yourself, you're in a good position, because then your clients will respect you.
Yeah.
And they'll do the same. You'll be surprised how many clients, on the first showing, they don't really know you. They're kind of feeling you out. They're late. But when they start to notice, like, wow, this guy's 15 minutes early, they actually start to come early.
Yeah.
And that gives you enough time to, bond with them on a personal level, because they're early. You don't have to talk about real estate. Talk about anything else. Talk about the weather. It doesn't matter. They just know that you're there, you're prepared, and that you're willing to be personable and chat with them.
Yeah. And it shows very good integrity too.
Of course.
Super important.
100%.
Just in general with life.
You know what? It really is. I feel like the most successful people, no matter what industry you're in, no matter what career you're doing, they have so much integrity and care. And, I could see it when you do these podcasts, right? You'd be surprised how many podcasts I listen to where you could tell they're there asking questions, just to ask questions, just to fill time, but you're doing it because you love it, and you're curious. Like when you called me today before, we were here, you were like, the questions you were asking me were very detailed, and it actually seemed like you really, really care, and it comes across as very genuine. And I think that's what sells, is being genuine.
Honestly, it's a total front.
Oh,
it's not me at all. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So
you're doing.
So it's working.
So you're doing a great job.
Yeah. The crazy amount of acting classes just to perfect this whole.
I like it.
Come off genuine shit. You know?
No. It's how about this? It's working for you. Great. Don't change it. Don't change what works.
No, I'm kidding, man. I love this. The podcast has, like I said, the door that's open, which is unexpected. It's become a passion of mine.
Amazing.
Who knows where it goes? And if you're watching on YouTube, you probably saw, but as we record right now, me and Dorian have a nice video tour planned at his luxury listing that he mentioned during this episode.
Yeah.
And we're going to do something fun and change it up a bit. It's going to be the first for Price to Sell. So if you're hearing this, you can just go on the YouTube and watch it.
I can't wait. It's going to be so exciting.
But as we're recording right now, we haven't done it yet, but we will be doing it. And thank you for allowing me to be in my first kind of experiment into this.
My pleasure.
Next phase for this podcast.
It's an honor. It's an honor you even asked me to be here.
Yeah.
And now we're going to go through a listing together.
Yeah.
That's what dreams are made of.
So I get to see Dorian in action.
No pressure.
And I'm just going to be funny, stupid Matt the whole time. And I think it'll create a nice little dynamic.
I agree.
Right?
Balance. I think that's what they call it, balance.
Then maybe you take me on your listings presentations as well.
No problem.
Like your when the buyers come through and you got to show the property.
Whenever you want.
I'll just be in the background.
Absolutely.
I can just act out the scenes.
Yeah?
As you want to tell the story for the house. It's like, this is the kitchen, and here we have Matt cooking a meal.
So you're the moderator.
Yes.
Okay. I'm into that.
Or it's like you take him to the master bedroom. Here, cathedral ceilings. Here we have this gorgeous master. Look at Matt. He's sleeping.
You're essentially my actor. You're the moderator. Okay.
Yeah. Just to show them, like, this is where you sleep. Maybe they may not know.
Maybe I'll sell more real estate that way.
This could work.
Okay, let's do it.
You heard it here first, guys. Well, as we near the end here.
Okay.
Any last piece of nuggets advice you want to throw out there?
You know what? I'll keep it very simple. For everyone listening, be yourself, be consistent, and be knowledgeable. If you're all three of those things, you'll never be directed in the wrong direction. You'll always provide the best service, and you'll end up where you want to end up, whether that's selling 1,000 different places in a year, or whether that's focusing on a certain specific market. You'll be there.
And just think big.
Think very big.
And believe it.
Yeah. And live it.
And live it. Just feel it. And you'll get there. Well, my friend,
Thanks, Matt.
thank you so much for coming. You've been awesome. If all your new fans out there, because we probably got you so many that are just like, can't wait to follow him on Instagram. So what's your at?
At Dorian X Rodrigues on Instagram. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the social platform I focus on.
Okay, sweet. Me too.
There you go.
Can't wait to DM you later, just for fun.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm gonna like all your stories too.
Amazing. You should.
Yeah.
Now we're best friends now.
We are. We just became best friends.
There you go.
It's a step bro. This is a step bros moment. But we're gonna post all your links in the bottom, man. But again, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Look forward to doing this tour with you. Keep crushing the luxury market. And to all of our friends, new listeners, forever listeners, thank you. Super grateful for you guys out there. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, tell your cats and your dogs as well. And we will see you on the next one. Peace.